Good evening. Welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shobh. On the programme this evening, a meltdown in the House of Tata, one of India's most valuable business conglomerates. The centre has now stepped in to try and manage this turbulence in a group which comes amidst concerns that infighting at majority shareholder Tata Trusts could begin to impede the functioning of Tata Sons. Now, the company's majority shareholders, Tata Trusts, are locked in an internal conflict over the nomination of a director to the Tata Sons board. And we'll explain all of this in a lot of detail. At the same time, the Reserve Bank of India's mandate requiring Tata Sons to list on the stock market has expired, and NDTV has learned that a Tata Group delegation headed by Noel Tata had held discussions in Delhi with at least one senior minister. The goal of this meeting is to calm the unease, find a solution towards calming this unease surrounding the tussle that's erupted. We've learned that the leadership of the group is effectively split into two sides, one aligned with Noel Tata and the other with Mehli Mistry. The Mistry faction believes that it's been excluded from several important strategic calls taken by Tata Sons when the opposing side maintains that every decision has been made with the interests of all shareholders in mind. So that's the broader story. So what we can do now is bring you the fault lines within the Tata Group, explain what exactly this is all about. On approximately the 11th of September, a meeting was held to consider reappointing the ex-Defence Secretary Vijay Singh to the Tata Sons board. In fact, this meeting did take place on the 11th of September, but by then, some of those within the group may have known that there could be differences. The proposal to back Mr. Singh was backed by Noel Tata and Venu Srinivasan, but this proposal was objected to by others, by four trustees, Mehli Mistry and the others there on your screen. So therefore, as a result of this, Vijay Singh's reappointment was rejected. It is this power struggle which is now playing itself out. Four trustees proposed Mehli Mistry instead for the board seat, but that didn't sit well with the others backing Vijay Singh. Noel Tata and Venu Srinivasan opposed the nomination of Mehli Mistry, which has really resulted in the differences that we see in the group so far. So that's the broad contours at this juncture that we are talking about. Well, joining us now, NDTV Shrimi Chaudhary and Vishwanath Nair. Both of them have been absolutely key in breaking this story. Shrimi, let me come to you first. There has been this one very important meeting which has taken place, and we are told it's just one meeting. There could be more. Is there any resolution which has been found?
Yeah, so what we are picking up that, of course, the top Tata leaders have dialed government and kind of seeking intervention over the ongoing rift over board appointment as well as the corporate governance issues. What we are also picking up that the top two cabinet minister has taken the cognizance of the issue and in fact advises the top leaders to kind of take some sort of internal resolution and maintain the institutional stability. So that messaging has come out from that crucial meeting which happened yesterday evening. The meeting went for over 1 hour and the four top leaders including Noel Tata, Venu Srinivasan, Darius Khambata and Tata Sons N. Chandra has attended the meeting. And in fact, sources highlighted the fact that all those top leaders has actually flagged the issue that how some of the trustees has actually trying to have greater control over Tata Sons board. In fact, they also kind of raised concern on one of the trustees who recently kind of sent a threatening sort of email on the removal of Venu Srinivasan in the upcoming board meeting on 10th of October. In fact, the government has, kind of taken cognizance and in fact, it acted as a mediator, not enforcers. And it was described as a conciliatory meeting is what sources tells us. And N. Chandra, which, more or less has taken a neutral stance, has also kind of consulted during the meeting is what sources tells us. And in fact, he has given his broad assessment on the situation and the impact on the Tata Sons and all the companies which had stake in the Tata Sons, there. So that's the outcome so far. But what the messaging is coming out at this point, what we are picking, that they have been told, the top leaders have been told to resolve the issue internally and amicably.
Vishwanath, what is the larger impact over here to the reputation of the group, potentially to the markets? Are there any broader ramifications?
Right, Vishnu. So, Tata Trusts as a group of two trusts, which owns, of course, a considerable stake in Tata Sons, and through Tata Sons, they have investments in more than 350 subsidiaries and over 400 associates and joint ventures. So, yes, there is a huge market impact. A lot of these companies where they have invested are listed. So, any sort of trouble at Tata Trusts and thereby extension in Tata Sons would have some bearing on the future of the companies wherein Tata Sons is invested in. But at this point in time, what we do understand, and Srimi was pointing out about the fact that the government is looking for an internal solution. What we understand is that the two groups are still not seeing eye to eye. There are these two factions that are there at Tata Trust. One is the Noel Tata camp and the other, the Mehli Mistry camp. Both of them don't seem to quite agree on the direction in which Tata Trust and Tata Sons needs to move. Specifically about the appointment of directors on Tata Sons, that is a key point of contention between these two camps. This is a departure from what the situation looked like when Ratan Tata was in charge. At that point in time, we had a near sort of unanimity amongst members of Tata Trust. That has clearly changed. So, just as a signaling point of view, this means a lot of things for one of India's most storied corporate families, but also for a large number of very large listed companies, Tata Consultancy Services, Tata Motors, Tata Steel, you've got Jaguar Land Rover, a bunch of these companies out there, very, very large companies, where, Tata Sons has a meaningful presence. So anything that happens there has an impact on India, India's economy, India's corporate stories.
Shimi, is this headed to the courts?
What we are getting sense from the sources that during the meeting, it was kind of discussed that, this shouldn't be spilled over to regulatory compliance, which also means that government is kind of not in favor. And in fact, the Tata leaders are also not in favor that this could lead to any regulatory compliance, because when the issues spill over and if the issues persist, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, RBI role can come in. As far as legal dispute is concerned, whether one camp can go against another and take them to court, that looks unlikely. But that call actually would be a bit of far-fetched, because on October 10th, when the trust meeting is happening, the lot of issues they are going to discuss. They are going to discuss the appointment. They're going to discuss the board governance, and how they are going to take up the renewal of some of the trustees is also very important to watch out for, and that perhaps will decide how this will pan out and whether this will head to a legal battle, frankly.
Vishy, there are two sides, obviously, and we'll be balancing our questions in that sense. But looking at one side, in what way has the Mistry faction allegedly been sidelined from key strategic decisions at Tata Sons?
So what we do understand is that there was this meeting at the Tata Trust Executive Committee back on the 11th of September, where the question was raised about Vijay Singh's reappointment on the Tata Sons board. Essentially, Vijay Singh was coming up for retirement and thereby reappointment, to which, of course, Tata Trust has to give its nod to ensure that Vijay Singh continues to be its representative on the board. That is where the differences started. Essentially, the Mehli Mistry camp believes that, firstly, they have not been kept in the loop about key decisions. Secondly, they believe that you need new blood coming into Tata Sons so that the strategic decision making can sort of change direction, change tack, and ensure that the companies that are being managed via Tata Sons have the right kind of leadership and have the full trust of the Tata Trust itself. So there has been this debate that has been going on between the two camps about the direction that the company should be taking, Tata Sons specifically, and the kind of decision making that they were doing. There were specific questions about certain companies and the investments that have happened in those companies, and whether it is actually worth it to continue funding a company where we have not seen that massive a profit. So these are key questions. Of course, one side of that entire camp believes that this is frivolous, while the Mistry camp believes that these are completely relevant questions that, as the controlling shareholder, we have the right to ask.
Yep.
Now, there has been some sort of posturing that this is some kind of a coup at the Tata Trusts board. Having said that, market experts that I speak to are calling it a bit far-fetched. This is probably not a coup, but there is a lot of disagreement that is playing out for sure.
The last question to you, Shimi, we looked at the Mistry faction and how they believe they've been sidelined. But what about the other faction, the Noel Tata group, as it were? Why do they believe that what's taking place runs contrary to the interests of the group at large?
Yeah, that's what the concern actually, that the Noel Tata-led camp actually has raised concerns around that how some of these trustees, and of course they are hinting towards the Mehli Mistry camp, that how they are trying to get greater access at the Tata Sons board. In fact, they raised the concern on how some of the trustees looking to have more sort of information being shared with some of the trustees member, including the board agenda, the minutes of meeting, all those exercise and affairs which is happening in the Tata Sons is what they want to have access to, and that is what something is concerning. And in fact, Noel Tata and Venu Srinivasan and have sought and kind of flag these concerns in front of government as well, and that's why the meeting being held. And in fact, the Noel Tata and Venu Srinivasan have been also kind of learned to have looking for some few more people induction at the Tata Sons board, but
Sure.
That is something we need to wait and watch for, that how that's going to be pan out. But so far it seems that as far as these the ongoing rift is concerned, you will get some clarity at least on the 10th of October when they will meet.
All right, Jimmy and Vishwanath, we'll leave it over there. Thanks very much for being with us. Well, just for the benefit of our viewers and what exactly the situation is, let's just bring you the very latest on this situation. What's happening now is that 4 senior Tata officials have met a top minister. This meeting took place in Delhi at a time when there is this huge boardroom struggle taking place in a part of the Tata group. The government wants the Tata Trusts to find an internal resolution. That's what our sources are indicating. But the meet itself between Tata leaders and the government followed a request from 2 Tata trustees. So what do we know of this meeting and who attended? Noel Tata, Venu Srinivasan, Darius Kambata were in attendance of this meeting, and they were seeking a solution with the government playing the role of peacemaker amidst these deepening tensions. There's a lot at stake for the group over here. It's one of the most respected groups, with the trustees seeking clarity on control over Tata Sons. Well, joining us now, Sriram Subramanian and Mithali Nikode. I'd like to thank you both very much for being with us. Mr. Subramanian, let me come to you first. This is a real mess. Just for a broader understanding of the entire crisis, what, to your mind, triggered, the stormy Tata Trust meeting that led to Vijay Singh's resignation?
Thank you for having me on the show. I think what triggered is one, the fact that some trustees on the board of Tata Trusts want more decision-making power on the board of Tata Sons. I think that is not done because Tata Sons has articles of association, and that equation with Tata Trust is already defined in the articles of association. Tata Trust has a right to nominate 2 directors. They can participate only as far as their directors are concerned on the decisions that Tata Sons itself take. So it cannot be that any director who is appointed on the board of Tata Sons need to seek the blessings of all the trustees from Tata Trust. Okay, Tata Trust has to by itself agree and collectively convey its decision through its nominee directors to the board of Tata Sons.
Mithali,
so be it
sure.
nomination of any new director, be it resignation of any director, those decisions should be through the articles of association.
Mithali, where does this leave the group presently? We do know that central ministers are trying to sort this out. What if this is not sorted out quickly?
Thanks, Vishnu, for having me on the show. I do think that, this is a very critical moment when we're talking about corporate governance in India at a macro level. And a lot of international investors and a lot of international, firms are also watching how India actually handles and solves this crisis. Because at some level, this is signaling can India manage a transition from in a company which has been the historical, sort of leader when it comes to FMCG, when it comes to multiple diverse industries, from a time when Ratan Tata literally as a patriarch has led the company to now when you'll have more professionals sort of running the company. So it's very critical for the government to step in, and there have been meetings with the Home Minister, with the Finance Minister stepping in and saying, please manage your home, please manage your house.
Mr. Subramanian, in terms of how this may impact, this boardroom conflict may impact the group itself, it's quite clear that one way or the other, one group is going to be offended, is going to be upset by whatever it is that the government helps them out with in terms of a solution. We've seen a horrible boardroom battle a few years back in the Tata Group. Do you see this being as big as what we saw, between Cyrus Mistry and Ratan Tata in the past?
I wouldn't think so. Firstly, because there wouldn't be any impact on the operating companies, which are both listed and unlisted companies. So the shareholders of listed operating companies need not be worried. As of now, it is the equation which is between Tata Trusts and Tata Sons. Okay, it's not even the board, all the members of the board or the board of Tata Sons itself is not totally involved in the issue. It's the division seems to be, at least what media reports suggested, at the Tata Trust level. So unlike in the past when the Cyrus Mistry issue happened, that was at a Tata Sons level, whereas this is at a Tata Trust level. So there is one more layer of, I would say, this one for the operating companies. And so there is no impact, at least at this moment, from the media reports on the operating companies. Only Tata Sons may see some decisions which have held pending, especially if there are key large strategic decisions, which I don't think there are any foreseen. Two is, of course, at a Tata Trust level, they need to sort of put their house in order. I would also think that these are disagreements always exist between anybody in any board, right? And they have to be resolved in amicable manner. They have to be resolved with logic and persuasiveness rather than just ego.
Right. And Mitali, in fact, that's my question to you. I mean, do you believe that these are ego issues within the group? I mean, between extremely powerful business leaders, or do you believe that this is a substantial issue of governance?
Actually, Vishnu, to be honest, I believe that this is a substantial issue of communications, because at the end of the day, when we look back in the years that Ratan Tata was there, I'm pretty sure that these kind of, disagreements would be happening within the board. As my colleague said, it's absolutely natural. But we didn't hear about it because at some level that communication was being managed in a much more, professional manner. So I do think that, going forward, it becomes very important for the Tata Group to see, which of these disagreements should actually be coming out in the public, how much they can manage internally as well.
Another question for Mr. Subramanian before we go forward. How has the expired RBI listing deadline potentially exacerbated the internal divisions between the Noel Tata and Mehli Mistry factions? Is that at all what this is all about?
No, I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think any party wanted a listing apart from the Shapoorji Group, probably, which holds a 18.7% shareholding. I don't think anybody else was interested in the listing of Tata Sons. I don't think even the Tata Trust wanted the listing of Tata Sons because, one, the control, the cash flows, all these matter. So to that extent, I think, from what I know, even Mehli Mistry was the executor of the will of Ratan Tata,
yes.
Though he's named Mistry. So he is not so much this one with Cyrus Mistry or the Shapoorji Pallonji group from a perspective of their unlocking their shareholding. So he's not going to be impacted by that unlocking of value of the Shapoorji Pallonji shareholding in Tata Sons. I think apart from the Shapoorji Pallonji group, no one else wanted the Tata Sons to be listed.
A meltdown in the House of Tata, one of India's most valuable business conglomerates. The centre has now stepped in to try and manage this turbulence in the group, which comes amidst concerns that this infighting at the majority shareholder Tata Trusts could in fact begin impeding the functioning of Tata Sons. Is this a crisis which is over at this juncture? That doesn't appear to be the case, but hopefully there will be a solution and trust within the group can in fact be restored. We leave it there from all of us here. Goodbye.